Are we going?
We're on.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Chris Adams, and I'm in Hood, and I sing and play the guitar.
I'm Stephen. I'm in Hood also, and I play the drums.
I'd like to say hello to anyone who might be watching this in the brainwashed webcam thing. Hello, Hans.
The live aspect of the band is kind of like a small part of it, really. I mean, we've never been like a band that's like constantly on the road like so many bands are. Like, basically the creation process like happens at home and or in a studio that we happen to be working at the time. And I think like we kind of think above and beyond like the fact that we're just like a 4-piece band or 5-piece band, whatever it is at the time. Like, we're just trying to like create a piece of music that we're happy with. So thinking, you know, how on earth we're going to do this live is actually going to sort of like limit us, really, because, you know, we're not really focusing on just like doing an album, taking it out on the road. You know, because I think if we did that, then the music would be very different, because we just instantly think, well, there's just no chance of ever playing this live, so what's the point? And then, as I said, we'd sort of like limit ourselves. So I mean, the focus of the band is the sort of creation of music in the studio, really.
I mean, it's not as though kind of what we do live isn't as important. It is. It's just the focus is kind of like getting the music out onto record. Really, that's what we're sort of trying to do.
And then having
to deal with it later.
Having to deal with
sort
it
of like
in
on the road.
Absolute panic, just right before the tour starts. Well, I guess my personal taste was kind of shaped quite a lot by the late John Peel, actually. The sort of the aesthetic of just like mixing all different kind of styles up, and, you know, I don't know, like I think subconsciously very influenced by listening to his shows as a kid, actually, and you sort of almost trace my musical taste back to like listening to radio shows and things like that, and going and tracking down the records after that. And he turned me on to the whole noise scene in New Zealand records and, you know, all that sort of thing. So I guess that was my sort of step into things.
Ditto on that, really, with me. Yeah.
started like listening to a lot more like electronic stuff, you know, the kind of, I guess the whole like Warp Records kind of axis, and also with the sort of like increasing sort of affordability, being able to do things at home, you know, like when we kind of started, like the best you could hope for would be like a 4-track, which of course, like, you know, we utilised as much as we could, and then with the sort of like liberalisation of computers and everybody like having them, they started to, you know, get used, you know, so I guess that's sort of part of the reason it all started to happen, really.
Yeah.
I don't really feel we sort of stake a claim on anything that we do, really. I mean, I think we may have been in the right place at the right time. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like, you know, a lot of what Hood kind of like do, like the sort of philosophy of the band is like you do something, kind of like move on and just move on to the next thing. So we don't really spend much time kind of you know, maybe looking backwards and looking back at what we could have done or what's happened since. You know, we just kind of like really sort of focus on our own thing, really. I mean, it's flattering if people kind of maybe emulate you. I mean, I'm reluctant to sort of say that people do, because I don't really personally see it myself. Although if they did, you know, we'd just take it as flattery. I think, you know, we just do our thing, really, and hope that other people do their thing and everyone makes exciting music. And you know, the more people do things that are challenging and interesting, the more exciting it is for everybody. So
yeah, I don't think you can stake claim to that kind of thing, really, that way of looking at it. You know, Anticon, they sort of like do their own thing, and it's pretty unique what they do. And okay, yeah, you could say, if you analysed it, there are now elements that are similar, I believe. The lips are numb. Similar, but you know, you can't just say that people are just following suit like that, really. I don't think.
We're just going to sue them all for royalties.
Yeah, later. That'll come later.
The domino lawyers on the case, it's fine. That's why we're so relaxed about it.
It's not our business.
Yeah. I think a lot of bands probably just, after being really upset about John Peel dying, probably just thought, oh my God, who's going to play us now? Which is a bit of a selfish kind of thing to think, but I think that's it's kind of it has left a huge gap in sort of like who's covering, especially obviously in the UK, like, you know, who's pretty much championing a lot of you know, music that no one else would touch.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, carry on.
I mean, John Peel was pretty much a law unto himself, and he established himself, you know, quite early on in the 70s, and he was allowed pretty much to have like free reign with what he played and what have you. And it doesn't seem as though there's anybody there, especially the BBC or radio in the UK, that so many dogs around here, that have that position, really. You know, it just seems as though maybe what with the more sort of cynical manufacturing of music these days, that that kind of strong force isn't there to sort of like take reign really. I don't know. I think they're trying to sort of fill his boots, but I don't think they'll ever succeed.
No. As for what we're doing, really, we're just as you can obviously tell, we're on tour at the minute, and we're just seeing how the album goes, and I guess thinking about the next thing that we're going to do, and just doing the normal kind of hood thing, really. So yeah. I'd like to get to a stage where like we could be like totally self-sufficient as a group and just have a studio and have time and just to be able to develop things and do things. There's a lot of constraints still on us, like i.e. to not get too boring, financial constraints, that sort of thing, that obviously stop us from doing this thing full time. And it would be great to get to a level where we could just have like an in-house kind of cottage industry thing where we could record things, release things, get people over, do things with people. It'd be ideal, really.
I mean, having said that, I think we're kind of at the minute we're really lucky. We're getting to come over here and play shows, and people are coming. We don't really have to sort of think about it that much. As you say, Domino are sort of looking after us pretty well. And we have a studio at the house that we kind of built ourselves, so we can record any time. And the one constraint is financial. We've kind of, Chris and I sort of resigned from our jobs kind of to sort of come over and do the touring for the LP and stuff, but that's going to end at some point. We're going to have to kind of like go back to that old kind of life, so, and then just sort of getting by doing recording whenever we can and what have you. So that would be ideal to just keep on as we're doing now, but
it's going better than we ever thought. Really. I think
definitely.
It's still fair to say, actually. Like, it never fails to amaze me, really. Like, we come over here and people have actually heard of us. It kind of freaks me out, to be honest, but it's great. We're lucky.
I mean, I know when you think about it though, sort of like, I worked full time up until about 6 weeks ago, and it's like there are certain things that you do in your life that are kind of repellent, and they kind of like spur you on to do sort of like other things. And I just feel as though if maybe I didn't have that in my life, I wouldn't be as driven to kind of do the things that I really
I've often wondered
do.
about the sort of how much you'd procrastinate if you were just like, that was your normal everyday existence, just going and just kind of sitting and making music. Maybe you just sort of start thinking, well, what drives me? What's my motivation? So, I don't know. I think we're at quite a good position at the minute, really.
Yeah.
One thing that I do miss a little bit about pretty much being exclusively sort of signed to one label is we used to just like pretty much throw records out to like all sorts of different labels. Like the minute they were like hot off the press, they were just sent off and they were away, and they were out of our hands, and that's a really exciting way to do it, and it's good for experimenting, because if you've got a label that tends to do a certain type of thing, you can say, well, we can give them those tracks and we can give this label those tracks, and that works really well. I mean, I think the thing that I'm noticing so far is like we're kind of like, without sort of sounding like some sort of marketing term, like we are kind of like breaking into other markets. Like I think people are coming to our shows that haven't heard of us before at all, whereas like in the past it would be people who were kind of like really quite staunch sort of independent music buyers, you know. So we're kind of like, we've got kind of like a real sort of mix of people coming to see us, which is great. Obviously, I mean, that it's really great that people who have followed us for years are still coming to see us, and people who've never really heard of us before are coming to see us. But I think that's one of the things that's happened with the Domino establishing itself as a much bigger label, you know. So it's all changed really. I mean, it's exciting though, I think. Doing far more as a group than we kind of ever have really, so like, I mean, touring this much is unprecedented for us as a band, you know. So I don't know, yeah, I mean the main focus is like really just doing the Hood thing at the minute, and then, you know, it's I mean, for me it's allowing me to do as much as I want musically really, you know. I don't feel like too limited by the group, so as it stands, like, we're just mainly focusing on Hood really.
It just seems as though that we kind of take so much control over everything. Like, we've got not only the music, but then we're keen to sort of like keep grips on the artwork and like just the videos and stuff that we do ourselves. So like, you know, we're pretty much like working flat out these days, you know, on Hood alone. It is literally like the first few shows that we've done without Richard, and so, you know, there's been a few snags we've hit. I think, you know, hopefully by the end we'll kind of hit peak, and then we'll be back home and things will be back to normal again. So I don't know.
We'll be playing the songs about 10 times faster than we've ever heard them play, like really efficiently, and it's yeah. But no, I mean it's been an unusual one really. But to be honest, we've got so much touring lined up that if we could sort of get it so certain people, I mean, we can't really demand like this much like level of commitment off everybody. I mean, we could be looking at like up to 4 or 5 months of touring really, and not everybody can just drop everything and do that. So, you know, it's one of those things that we sort of accept, you know.
All right, well, we can end there.
Okay.